Kai looked out over the dusty red landscape of the mining colony. The sun was setting behind the distant hills, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple. The colony was small, rough, and far from the busy cities of Earth, but it was home for many people who worked hard every day to bring valuable minerals from the planet's soil. Kai was an engineer. He fixed machines, built tools, and made sure everything in the colony ran smoothly. Life here was hard, but Kai liked the quiet and the challenge. He was good at his job, and most days passed without much excitement. But today was different. Kai noticed something unusual near the edge of the colony, by the old storage warehouse. A young woman was standing alone, looking lost and confused. She wore simple clothes, but her face was strange, like she did not belong to this world. Her eyes were bright and curious, but there was sadness in them too. Kai felt a strange pull in his chest. He wasn't sure why, but he decided to walk over and see if she needed help. "Hello," Kai said softly, not wanting to startle her. "Are you okay? You look like you need some help." The woman turned quickly and smiled nervously. I don't know where I am. I don't remember much." Kai frowned. "You don't remember? That's not good. You should come to the colony center. Maybe someone there can help you." She hesitated for a moment but then nodded. "Yes, please." Kai led her through the dusty paths back to the colony. People stopped and stared at the woman. She was clearly not from around here. Some whispered quietly, but Kai did not pay attention. He was focused on making sure she was safe. At the colony center, a small group of people gathered. The woman gave her name as Zara, but that was all she could remember. She said she felt tired and confused, like waking up from a long dream. Kai watched her closely. There was something about Zara that felt important. Something deep inside him telling him to protect her. Days passed, and Zara stayed at the colony. She was quiet but kind. She helped in small ways, cleaning, organizing supplies, and even trying to learn about the colony's machines. People slowly started to like her. Kai spent more time with her. They talked about many things: the stars, the strange planets far away, and the small hopes they held for the future. Zara never spoke about her past or where she came from. It was like those memories were locked inside her, hidden deep and unreachable. One evening, Kai took Zara to the top of a small hill overlooking the colony. The stars were bright in the clear sky. "Do you ever feel like you belong somewhere else?" Kai asked quietly. Zara looked at the stars and smiled sadly. "Yes, sometimes. I feel like I'm looking for a place I cannot find." Kai nodded. "Maybe you're just lost. But if you want, you can stay here. This colony might be small, but it's a home for many." Zara's eyes shone. "Thank you, Kai. You are very kind." As the night grew colder, Kai and Zara sat silently, watching the stars. Neither of them knew that their peaceful days were about to change forever. Because somewhere far beyond the red hills and the mining machines, eyes were watching. Powerful eyes that knew who Zara really was, a princess from a distant star, hidden among humans. And soon, those eyes would bring danger to the quiet colony. The morning sun rose over the mining colony, casting long shadows on the red dirt roads. Life had begun to feel a little more normal for Kai and Zara. The colony's people had accepted her, and she was slowly learning how things worked. Still, something in the air felt uneasy, even if no one could explain it. Kai was working in the repair bay when the first sign of trouble came. A loud alarm blared across the colony, its harsh sound echoing off the metal buildings. The workers stopped their tasks and looked toward the sky, confusion and fear written on their faces. Zara stood next to Kai, her eyes wide with worry. "What is happening?" she asked. Kai shook his head. "I don't know, but we need to find out fast." The colony's leader, Mara, appeared nearby, her voice calm but firm. "Everyone, prepare for possible danger. We don't know what's coming, but we need to stay safe." Kai grabbed a small toolkit and followed Mara toward the control center. Zara stayed close, her curiosity mixed with growing fear. Outside, a dark shape appeared against the bright sky. It was a sleek, fast-moving ship unlike anything the colony had seen before. It hovered above the settlement, silent and threatening. People scattered, looking for cover. Kai's heart pounded. He kept his eyes on the ship and on Zara. Suddenly, from the ship, a smaller craft shot down quickly, landing not far from where Kai and Zara stood. The hatch opened, and several figures stepped out. They were tall, wearing armor that glowed faintly under the sun. Their faces were hidden behind helmets. Kai felt a cold chill. These visitors were not friendly. One of the armored figures spoke, their voice sharp and cold. "We are here for the one called Zara. Hand her over, and there will be no harm." Zara stepped forward, her voice steady but quiet. "I do not know what you want from me." Kai moved in front of her. "She stays here. You won't take her." The leader of the armored group laughed softly. "You are brave, human, but you do not understand. She is not yours." The situation grew tense. The colonists watched from behind walls and machinery, scared but hopeful that someone would protect them. Without warning, one of the armored figures aimed a weapon at Zara. Kai reacted without thinking. He threw himself in front of her just as a bright beam shot out from the weapon. The beam struck Kai's shoulder, and he stumbled but stayed standing. Pain shot through his body, but his focus was on Zara's safety. "Run," Kai said, his voice strained. Zara hesitated, torn between helping Kai and escaping. But then, the colonists came rushing forward, distracting the armored group. The small crowd used the moment to scatter and hide. Kai sank down, clutching his injured shoulder. The pain was sharp, but he didn't cry out. Zara knelt beside him, fear and confusion in her eyes. "Kai, you're hurt. We need to get you help," she said urgently. Kai shook his head weakly. "No time. They will come back. You must leave. Find help." Zara looked around, then made a quick decision. She lifted Kai carefully and started running toward the colony's medical center. Inside, Mara and the colony's doctor worked quickly to treat Kai's wound. The injury was serious but not life-threatening. Kai was brave, but even he needed time to heal. Zara stayed by his side, her mind racing. Who were these strangers? Why did they want her? And why had Kai risked everything to protect her? As Kai rested, Zara's memories started to come back in small pieces, flashes of a distant world, a shining palace, and people who looked at her with respect and fear. She realized she was not just a lost traveler. She was someone important, someone in danger. But Kai's courage gave her hope. If a human could protect her without knowing her true identity, maybe she could trust the people here. Maybe this small, dusty colony could be her new home. Outside the medical center, the colony prepared for what might come next. The peaceful life they knew was over. A new battle was about to begin, and Zara and Kai would be at the center of it. The colony was quieter now, but the tension was thick in the air. Kai lay on a small cot in the medical center, his shoulder bandaged and healing. Though the pain was duller, his mind was restless. He kept thinking about the armored strangers and their demand for Zara. Zara sat nearby, her hands folded nervously. The events of the last day weighed heavily on her. She wanted to tell Kai the truth, who she really was, but she was afraid of how he would react. Kai finally opened his eyes and looked at her. "Zara, why do they want you so badly? Who are you really?" Zara hesitated, then took a deep breath. I think it is time you know the truth." She told him about the memories that had come back, about a distant star system, a grand palace, made of shining metal and light, and a family that ruled over many planets. She was their princess, the last hope of her people. Kai listened carefully. He could hardly believe it at first. A princess from another world. It sounded like a story from the old books he used to read as a child. But the fear in Zara's eyes was real. So was the sadness. "I was sent away," she said softly, "to hide, to keep me safe from those who want to take the throne by force." Kai reached out and took her hand. "You're not alone anymore. We'll protect you. The colony will protect you." Zara smiled, grateful for his kindness. But she knew this was only the beginning. The danger was greater than she had thought. That night, Zara's dreams were filled with images of her homeworld, a planet full of shining towers and peaceful gardens. She saw her family, strong and proud, waiting for her return. Kai dreamed too. But his dreams were simpler, of friends, hope, and a future where people from different worlds could live together in peace. The next morning, Zara began to explore the colony with Kai by her side. She wanted to learn more about these humans who had welcomed her so kindly. They visited the mining fields, where workers operated large machines that dug deep into the red soil. Zara was amazed by the tools and the teamwork. These people work hard, she said. Their strength is not just in their bodies, but in their hearts. Kai smiled. That's what makes us human. As they walked, Zara felt a strange warmth in her chest. She didn't know if it was the sun, the company, or something deeper. A connection she had never felt before. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the ground. The colony's alarm sounded again. Kai grabbed Zara's hand and pulled her toward the control center. They arrived just in time to see the armored strangers landing their ship. On the far side of the settlement. This time, they were more prepared. Mara, the colony leader, stood at the front of a small group of defenders. We will not give up Zara. She belongs here now. The armored leader stepped forward and spoke again. You cannot protect her forever. We will find her. Kai looked at Zara. We need a plan. Zara closed her eyes and focused. A strange energy began to glow faintly around her hands, a power she had never noticed before. Kai gasped, "What is that?" Zara shook her head, surprised by the strength inside her. "I don't know, but maybe I can fight back." The colony defenders prepared for battle, but Zara raised her hand and stopped them. "No fighting yet," she said. "Let me try to talk to them." Zara stepped toward the enemy and spoke clearly. "Why do you want me? What will happen if you take me?" The armored leader's voice softened for a moment. "You are the key to peace or war. Your people are divided. If you return with us, we can end the conflict." Zara frowned. "And if I refuse? Then war will come to your new home." Kai felt the weight of her choice. The future of the colony, and perhaps many worlds, rested on what Zara decided next. She looked at Kai, and then back at the armored group. "I want peace, but it must be on my terms." The leader nodded. "Very well, we will wait." As the strangers left, the colony breathed a little easier. But Zara and Kai knew that the calm was only temporary. There was much to prepare for, and the real fight for Zara's future and humanity's place among the stars was just beginning. The morning after the tense encounter, the mining colony buzzed with activity. News of Zara's true identity had spread quietly but quickly among the people. Some were afraid, others curious, but many were ready to stand together. They understood that this was no longer just about their small world. It was about something much bigger. Kai stood near the center of the colony, looking around at the faces of those who had gathered. Men and women from different backgrounds, skilled workers, and even a few retired soldiers had come to hear what needed to be done. Mara, the colony leader, spoke with calm determination. "We may be small and far away from the great powers of the galaxy, but we have something more important: courage, unity, and the will to protect one of our own." Kai stepped forward. "We can't fight alone, but together we can be strong. We need to find allies, both human and alien, friends who believe in peace and justice." Among the crowd was a quiet figure, Nilo, a trader who traveled between planets. He nodded at Kai's words. "I know others who will help. There are many who don't want war. I will send messages." Zara watched the scene quietly, her heart filled with hope. These people were not just miners and engineers, they were her new family. That afternoon, Kai and Zara walked through the colony's market area. The air smelled of fresh bread and metal, and the chatter of merchants mixed with the hum of machines. Zara stopped by a small stall where an elderly woman sold handmade trinkets. The woman smiled warmly. "You are the princess." "Yes, I heard." "The news?" Zara nodded shyly. "I am, but I do not feel like one yet. I still have much to learn." The woman placed a small charm in Zara's hand. "This will protect you, not from weapons, but from fear." Zara held the charm tightly, feeling a strange comfort. Later, Kai and Zara met with the colony's engineers and mechanics. They needed Better defenses if the hostile faction returned. Kai pointed to a rough sketch on a metal table. We can build early warning sensors around the colony. They will alert us if any ships approach. The engineers nodded, their faces serious but determined. We can start immediately. Over the next days, the colony transformed. Barricades went up, sensor towers were assembled, and teams practiced quick responses. The people worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of a common goal. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Kai and Zara sat by a small fire outside the medical center. Zara looked at the stars and whispered, "I never knew humans could be so brave." Kai smiled. "We have to be. Out here, in the unknown. It's all we have." Suddenly, a small ship appeared on the horizon, its lights blinking softly. Nilo had returned with news. He stepped out, greeting Kai and Zara. "Friends from other colonies are coming. They want to help." Zara's eyes sparkled. "Then we are not alone." That night, under the watchful stars, the colony prepared for the challenges ahead. Zara and Kai knew that the road would be difficult, but together with their new allies, they had a chance to protect the future they all dreamed of. The morning after the tense encounter, the mining colony buzzed with activity. News of Zara's true identity had spread quietly but quickly among the people. Some were afraid, others curious, but many were ready to stand together. They understood that this was no longer just about their small world, it was about something much bigger. Kai stood near the center of the colony, looking around at the faces of those who had gathered. Men and women from different backgrounds, skilled workers, and even a few retired soldiers had come to hear what needed to be done. Mara, the colony leader, spoke with calm determination. "We may be small and far away from the great powers of the galaxy, but we have something more important: courage, unity, and the will to protect one of our own." Kai stepped forward. "We can't fight alone, but together we can be strong. We need to find allies, both human and alien, friends who believe in peace and justice." Among the crowd was a quiet figure, Nilo, a trader who traveled between planets. He nodded at Kai's words. "I know others who will help. There are many who don't want war. I will send messages." Zara watched the scene quietly, her heart filled with hope. These people were not just miners and engineers, they were her new family. That afternoon, Kai and Zara walked through the colony's market area. The air smelled of fresh bread and metal, and the chatter of merchants mixed with the hum of machines. Zara stopped by a small stall where an elderly woman sold handmade trinkets. The woman smiled warmly. "You are the princess." "Yes, I heard." "The news?" Zara nodded shyly. "I am, but I do not feel like one yet. I still have much to learn." The woman placed a small charm in Zara's hand. "This will protect you, not from weapons, but from fear." Zara held the charm tightly, feeling a strange comfort. Later, Kai and Zara met with the colony's engineers and mechanics. They needed better defenses if the hostile faction returned. Kai pointed to a rough sketch on a metal table. "We can build early warning sensors around the colony. They will alert us if any ships approach." The engineers nodded, their faces serious but determined. "We can start immediately." Over the next days, the colony transformed. Barricades went up, sensor towers were assembled, and teams practiced quick responses. The people worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of a common goal. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Kai and Zara sat by a small fire outside the medical center. Zara looked at the stars and whispered, "I never knew humans could be so brave." Kai smiled. "We have to be. Out here, in the unknown. It's all we have." Suddenly, a small ship appeared on the horizon, its lights blinking softly. Nilo had returned with news. He stepped out, greeting Kai and Zara. "Friends from other colonies are coming. They want to help." Zara's eyes sparkled. "Then we are not alone." That night, under the watchful stars, the colony prepared for the challenges ahead. Zara and Kai knew that the road would be difficult, but together with their new allies, they had a chance to protect the future they all dreamed of. The small colony hummed with quiet energy as new arrivals landed on the dusty landing pad. Ships from neighboring settlements had answered Nilo's call for help. Their crews were a mix of humans and a few friendly alien traders, all eager to stand with Zara and Kai against the growing threat. Kai watched as people unloaded supplies and tools. There was no grand army, no vast fleet, but something else filled the air: determination. "We don't have their weapons or ships," Mara said quietly as she joined Kai. "But we have courage. And that might be enough," Kai nodded. "We've faced hard times before. It's who we are." Zara walked beside them, her gaze distant but steady. Since her powers had started to show, she had spent hours practicing in secret, learning to control the strange energy that sometimes flowed through her hands. That morning, she approached Kai. "I think I am ready to help. I can use what I have to protect the colony." Kai smiled warmly. "You don't have to do it alone. We're with you." The new allies quickly organized themselves. Engineers worked to improve the colony's defenses, traders shared valuable information, and some trained in basic combat skills. Kai found himself teaching a group how to use the mining tools as weapons if needed. "It's not about violence," he said, "but about protecting what we love." The colonists were quick learners, and their spirits lifted by the feeling of purpose. One day, while walking near the sensor towers, Kai and Zara spotted a distant ship on the horizon. The same hostile faction that had first attacked the colonies. Sensors beeped urgently. Everyone moved quickly, taking positions behind barriers or inside shelters. Zara stepped forward. "Let me talk to them." Kai shook his head. "No, it's too dangerous." But Zara was firm. "I need to try." With a deep breath, Zara raised her hand and sent a message through the air, a soft light glowing from her palm. The hostile ship paused. Then a voice came through their comm system. Cold but listening. Zara spoke clearly. "I am not your enemy. Let us find peace before more lives are lost." There was silence. Then the voice said, "You are brave, princess, but your words will not stop the war." The ship moved closer, weapons ready. Kai's heart pounded. He saw fear in the eyes of the colonists, but also something else: hope. Suddenly, Zara's power burst forth like a wave of light, creating a shield that protected the colony from the first blast. The colonists gasped. They had never seen anything like it. Kai helped organize the defense, using their knowledge of the land and the colony's machines. They found ways to slow the enemy's advance. Zara's energy continued to protect and inspire. She was no longer just a lost princess. She was a symbol of strength. After hours of struggle, the hostile ship retreated. The colony had won this battle, not with bigger weapons, but with courage and heart. Kai knelt beside Zara as she sat exhausted but smiling. "You did it." Zara shook her head. "We did it together." That night, the colony celebrated quietly. They knew more challenges lay ahead, but for the first time, they believed in their own strength. Kai looked at the stars and thought about what the future might hold for Zara, for the colony, and for humanity itself. Because in this vast galaxy, it was not power or technology that would win the day, but the spirit of those who refused to give up. The red dust had settled on the colony once again, but the calm was fragile. Everyone knew the hostile faction would return, and this time with greater force. Kai walked through the colony's streets, watching people prepare for what might be the hardest battle yet. Barricades were stronger, sensor towers taller, and every able person was ready to defend their home. Zara stood on the highest hill, looking out at the horizon where dark shapes now gathered, a fleet of ships, more than the colony had ever seen. Her heart beat fast, but she stood tall. "Kai," she said when he joined her, "this is more than a fight for me. It's a fight for everyone here." Kai nodded. "We won't let them win." The leaders of the colony gathered in the control center to plan. Maps and screens showed the approaching fleet. The odds were against them. Mara's voice was steady. "We must use every advantage we have, our knowledge of the land, our machines, and Zara's power." Zara closed her eyes and focused. The strange energy within her grew stronger, glowing softly like a light from inside. She was no longer afraid of her power. She would use it to protect her new family, when the enemy ships entered the planet's atmosphere, the colony's alarms sounded loud and clear. People took their positions quickly. Kai led a group to control the sensor towers, giving early warnings of enemy movements. Zara stood in the center of the colony, her hands glowing with energy. As the first wave of enemy soldiers landed, she raised her arms and sent a wave of light. That slowed their advance. The battle began. The colonists fought bravely. They used the machines around them, mining tools, vehicles, and even mining drones, to defend their homes. Their teamwork was strong, their hearts fierce. Kai helped repair broken equipment while encouraging his friends. Keep going. We are stronger than they think. Zara moved through the battlefield, her power creating shields to protect the defenders, and bursts of light to push back attackers. The enemy was surprised by the colony's courage and unexpected strength. Their advanced weapons were no match for the humans' quick thinking, and Zara's mysterious energy dot at one point, Kai found himself trapped by enemy soldiers. Just as they closed in, Zara appeared beside him, sending a bright pulse that knocked the attackers back. "Stay close," she said, helping him to safety. The battle raged for hours. Dust filled the air, and the sun climbed high. But slowly, the enemy's strength began to wane. Finally, the hostile fleet, seeing their soldiers pushed back and their ships damaged, began to retreat. The colony erupted in cheers. They had one dot. Kai looked at Zara, proud and amazed. "You saved us," as Zara smiled, though she was tired. "We saved each other." That night, under the stars, the colony celebrated not just their victory, but their unity. They were no longer just miners and traders. They were a family, defenders of a new hope. Kai and Zara stood together, looking at the sky. "The war is not over," Zara said quietly. "But we have shown them what it means to stand together." Kai nodded. "And what it means to be human." The stars above shone brighter than ever, as if watching over a new beginning.